to our global outreach, enabling us to take the love and hope of Jesus Christ to those who need it most. Our Boots on the Ground Partnership Program physically ministers to those in desperate situations all over the world. The Israel Partnership furthers Kim's legacy of outreach to Israel and Jewish people worldwide. We invite you to become a partner today. Join us today and be part of a community that inspires hope, brings restoration to life, and often healing from the past. Together, we can make a difference, and we thank you for your ongoing support.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Code Breakers Live. I hope you're all doing wonderful today. Let's have a look and see in the chat. I did see somebody in Rumble. I was looking through the chat, and I saw someone saying you were so excited to hear from me and Trey Smith today, but we had to cancel Trey. He's sick. He texted me this morning. He said, "I'm so sick. I don't think I can." I said, "Don't worry about it. It's totally fine." So next week we have Bo Polney, and it's very important that he come next week because of the date, and you guys will see that next week. So next week we're going to have Bo Polney on here. September 22nd is a very important date, and he wants to come and tell us why. But I will reschedule Trey Smith. So I'm so sorry. We need to pray for Trey. He didn't tell me what was wrong, but he said he was pretty sick. So let's pray for Trey Smith, Father, that he heal him in Jesus' name so he can get back here to us quickly and talk to us about everything. Oh, I see everybody. Indiana, Alabama, San Antonio. There's a troll. Oh, yay, we've got a troll. I love it when we get trolls. You never know. You never know who you can help. Because sometimes, I've gotten people that have just been vicious. Oh, you're going to burn in hell with your father and things. And it was just after he died. It was just the most awful. But I ended up talking to that person over YouTube in a comment section and completely changed it. And then I've had people mock me and say, "How could that ever happen?" And then come back and say, "Oh my goodness!" And then their lives are transformed. So, of course, if this particular troll is threatening anybody or using foul language, we're going to have to get rid of them because we can't have that. But I've done something. I don't know what I did. Did I just refresh? I think I just refreshed. Okay, I just don't want to miss anybody. I was trying to scroll. So I've got, the reason you see me looking to the side is because I'm seeing the chat for Rumble to my right, and I'm seeing the other chats in front of me. And so just want to see who's there on Rumble because it was D Army. Shalom. Sorry about Trey Smith. He'll be back. Texas, Maryland, East Washington, Vegas. Oh, Trump was just in Vegas with Carrie Lake, and he called her, he gave her a new nickname, Border Carrie Lake. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't want to say it. I want to say it. We're like, is it the Esther? Cartels
will be afraid of a woman.
Big, beautiful eyes, virtuous.
That's the first thing that popped into my mind when I watched it.
Maybe not. We're not going to say, but I like her. And I actually.
And we're not joking. We don't know.
We don't really know. We really don't know. And it's been such a thing with this Esther prophecy. Someone said to me the other day, maybe you're the Esther, Don. I'm like, no, I don't want to be.
Well, the thing is,
wouldn't that be funny?
Now we hear.
I've got nothing to do with any borders, and no cartels are going to be afraid of me.
Well, now we hear Esther, and immediately we all go, oh.
I know. My poor father. I wish he could be here to just clear that up because he would have probably very quickly. But anyway, I think this is part of the fun of it. Phoenix, Arizona is here, and that's where she is, and that's where Dad prophesied the 2 terms for Trump from. And he said that she would rise up in the middle of the presidency. Well, Trump's 2 presidencies was the middle of Biden's presidency in 2022, which is when we saw Carrie Lake arise. So that's why you see me watching her. I'm not saying definitively. Nobody panic, please. I don't want to get the mean emails. Okay, yes, people are talking about the assassination attempt. Yes. Another assassination attempt has been made on Trump. We have been praying about this. I think we need to be praying more about that here, actually, on this show. But We, all of us have been. I mean, Roger Stone, Robin Bullock, Amanda Grace. So many people have been concerned about another assassination attempt, and it's sort of an obvious. It's not like anyone's prophesying it, but there's a lot of people who are concerned. And here we had another assassination attempt on him, and I believe, well, not I don't know if actual shots were fired.
Shots were fired,
Oh, heavens.
but they Trump was in the area, but wasn't close enough for it to
This is
do any damage. But they do have the police there and everything. They're doing an investigation. I think they found a weapon.
They found an AK-47
Yes,
apparently,
yes.
but I mean, I don't even know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
So
even
we're
if
just going to
that's-
wait and see what comes up.
Yeah.
Listen, what happened the last time, and if it's happening again, I'm telling you now,
And they just ignore it.
this is it. This
Like I
is
say,
it.
if it had been any, and I know you guys watching, if it had been any other time, and any other president or former president or someone running for president, we would have heard nothing else for weeks on the media. But because it's Donald Trump, it's okay with them. And he said it himself during the debate, is you people keep lying about me and calling me names and saying these things, and now that people are trying to kill me because they believe you. They believe the lies.
And they're making out like he's crazy because they're saying, no. I mean, why would anybody
the
want to
people
hurt
that said
you?
he faked it.
Anyway.
Yeah, he said to the guy, yeah, shoot at me.
Yeah.
Make sure you just hit me a little bit.
Yeah.
You've got to be a really good shot. I'm sorry, that's not a risk I'm willing to take. And I'm sure certainly yes, God does have Trump protected, Christina, and that's one thing we do know, is these assassination attempts will be just that, attempts.
But that's
And
why we pray and
You
vote.
got to pray
Because the government is on God's shoulders, and we elect government. And we have got to choose the people that we elect. So the Bible is very clear. If you look in the Old Testament, God picked the leaders. He picked, which were kings, which we see as presidents now. God picked them. So now the thing is, the devil's doing the same thing. He's trying to pick his own, and we're not going to stand for it anymore. I'm done.
Oh, they're desperate.
Of course, the devil's using the same thing. So Christians, actually, the reason I'm bringing this up, because it got me thinking about it, is that we need to actually stop saying, well, it's all in Jesus's hands. We're going to tiptoe to the... No, we have got to stand up and say, this is wrong. The killing of babies is wrong.
You're hitting the nail on the head, because this is something I wanted to address.
This is done. We are finished. We are not playing games with the devil anymore. He can tiptoe through the tulips himself. We are going to vote in who God has picked.
Yes.
I don't care how bad you think of it. Look at David. Look at the people God picked. They weren't perfect.
No.
But you know what?
He
has more Christian values than what's in the White House right now.
Yeah.
And so we have got to say, I'm done.
This is the issue of abortion that I wanted to bring up, because I know a lot of people, including myself, are not too happy about, some of the stances Trump's been taking, as far as he seems to have sort of weakened just a tiny bit, and some people are definitely upset, but everybody needs to understand, number one, I know Trump is not okay with abortion himself, but here's the other thing. There's only so much he can do. God put him in a position where he put Supreme Court justices in when the opportunity arose that were conservative, who would deal with Roe versus Wade. Now, doing that took the shackles off that held it in place as a federal law. By doing that, the Supreme Court removed those chains, so that now the states decide. That is democracy. You see, the Democrats say, oh, he's a threat to democracy. No, what he's doing is actually exactly that. It is up to us. It is our responsibility to change the hearts of people as Christians. We're spreading the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
Trump cannot do everything. He's not going to, we can't deify him. We can't put him in the position of God, because God's not going to like that either. And then that becomes dangerous for Trump.
God's on the throne.
We as Christians are responsible in our regions and our territories to change the hearts of people. And we've got to figure out how to do that. The old ways don't work anymore. We've got to, what is God doing now? What's the new way? Because everything else is changing around the world. So we have to adjust how do we approach it? Not what we believe. What we believe is a rock, but how we approach and deal with it is up to us, and we have to vote. Christians, I'm finding out, I never knew this, that Christians don't vote. They hardly vote at all.
I was watching, and that's what I got upset about, because I'm thinking, are you going to allow people who are for the evil that's coming?
Because if you don't vote, if you say, oh, well, I don't like what
change.
Trump just said about abortion, so I'm just not going to vote at all. If you do that, you're giving it to Kamala.
Yeah.
Which is so much worse. And it's not saying that you support abortion either, because I don't. Not at all, not in any possible way. But he doesn't either. But he's been put in a position, too, that you got to realize they're out there shouting, Trump's going to put us all in jail, and he's not going to do that. He's done, actually. It's already done. The Roe versus Wade is gone, and the states decide now. So now we have to, in each of our states, we've got to vote.
Yep.
And not just president and down ballot.
Everything.
Look at who's on your
school board.
Who is taking care? Who's your sheriff? Everything. Vote for everything. Pay attention, because you know what, we were. Part of this is because the IRS thing, a Christian, but also before that, the separation of church and state has really made it very difficult for pastors and Christians to speak out politically. So a lot of us just said, we just will stay out of it as best we can, because, not everybody wants to get into politics, and we're dealing with spiritual matters, but none of that matters if the leadership is wicked and evil and become corrupted, which is what has happened. And this is a danger that can happen in this kind of a system, is that it is by the people, for the people. So we are responsible for these lunatics that are up there controlling and stealing from us. We actually are responsible. So, I mean, I know it might seem a little broad, but that's sort of my view and my feeling.
But for abortion being put for the decisions of the states, it makes it easier for people of that state to pray and to vote than allowing a whole country on one president. It's easier to do your state.
Yes, and this is sort of the basic message: is don't give too much power to the government. They need to just be like. And this is why I like the efficiency program that he's talking about doing with Elon Musk and stuff. And you've seen Javier Milei do that in Argentina, and it's been very successful. In that, let's get rid of unnecessary things. Let's not be wasteful. Let us be wise, and let us be aware. And so I'm seeing your comments coming in like crazy, but I can't catch up. But we do have a praise report. Let's tell them.
Yes.
I'll let you expound. But remember last week at the end of the broadcast, we prayed for baby Noah, and you remember his throat was swelling up, and they were going to have to cut open Jonah. What did I say?
Noah. It's very close.
I wrote Noah.
It's Jonah.
Why did I write Noah?
I don't know.
You had just said Jonah, and I knew that. That's weird. Maybe it's a prophetic thing. No, I don't know. No, wait, we don't want Noah. No,
but the funny thing is, you just said that. Yeah, before we get to the praise report,
yes.
You just said that, and I saw a picture pop up on my Facebook, and it was Sharon Jordan shared it.
Yes.
Charlie Jordan's wife, and
I love Sharon.
It's a picture of Noah saying, "It's gonna rain, you're gonna die," and they're all saying, "Who are you to tell us what's gonna happen?" And so, and in the caption, she wrote there, "It's my job to tell you Jesus is coming." That is it.
Exactly right. Oh my goodness.
So that's funny that you wrote Noah. But anyway, it's Jonah. His little name's Jonah.
Jonah.
Yes.
So we prayed for Jonah last week at the end of the broadcast. And okay, tell them what happened. Okay. Yay, it's good news.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm going to give you a rundown quickly of what happened.
Okay.
With Jonah. So basically, this is a little graphical. So if you a bit wheezy, it's not that bad, but anyway. He got a bacterial infection that went into his lymph nodes on his neck that it got infected and started filling with pus. They said they'll need to drain it, but it will have to be put under anesthetic, which has a lot of risk for babies under 6 months. They wanted to try and avoid that as much as possible and first give him antibiotics to see if that clears. The antibiotics didn't work because they said the pus was too thick. And so the antibiotics wasn't getting there. It wasn't working. They took an ultrasound of his neck and said that there was too much pus, that no blood flow was getting to the node, so antibiotics
you're gonna
can't clear. If so, they sent us via helicopter to the children's ward. I'm reading what his mother wrote to me. To the children's ward in a bigger town, which has pediatric surgeons. And then the whole team of doctors came to see him in the morning before the surgery and said to not do the surgery yet and give it a few more days. At that moment, when the doctors came into his room, after they helicoptered him into the hospital, we started praying for Jonah here on the broadcast.
He was rushed to the hospital while we were praying.
Yes. And the doctors came in, and she worked out, because we told her it was around 4:00 our time. They worked out, because they're in New Zealand,
Yes,
that the time was the exact same time that the doctors came in and said that they decided to not do any surgery because it looked like it was getting better. And of course, she was so excited about it.
So they didn't, because here's the thing we were praying is that they weren't going to have to cut into
They wouldn't
his
have
neck,
to cut,
which
and there
would
wouldn't be a
have scarred him for
scar.
life.
That's what we prayed, and they said no, we don't have to do surgery.
Wonderful.
But then they said, come in on Friday, which was this last Friday,
Yes.
because even though it's going down, it's still too thick in his neck. So they were going to do surgery on Friday. And when the doctors came again, they said, take him home. There is nothing. He still has a little bit, but it's going away. And we've got a photo of little Jonah.
You've got pictures. Yeah, sure. Pull it up. Let's see. Let's see the baby. There you go, everybody. You see? So if you look
on the far right.
On the far, well, is it right or left? Left. When I'm looking at the screen, it's my left, so it must be left for you guys too. But you can tell.
The first picture.
The first picture, that's him normal. And then you see the swelling in the middle. And then he's just such a happy little thing. Look, he's just smiling through all of it. What a cutie. Oh, my goodness.
And the third one is after the doctor said he didn't need the surgery. Now, you see, it's still a little swell.
You can still see a little swelling.
They did another ultrasound, and they said that it's
going down.
Away. Yeah.
Yay! Praise God. You guys, listen, that was our prayers. We did that. Well, God did that, but we prayed and it worked. I love that. That's so exciting. It just makes me so
That's
happy.
the power of prayer and
because
unity.
In the moment too, we weren't even going to do that, and then we just decided.
I was sitting at the back, and I felt that we needed to pray for him.
Yes, and I'm so glad that we did.
That just shows you, God can do miracles in your life as much as anything else. So trust Him.
And you don't even have to be watching.
No,
you don't even have to be here, because of course God knows everything that's going on. So I knew you guys would so appreciate knowing that our prayer that we prayed together, look at the power of it, the power in our agreement. And that is a message that we need to make sure we keep sending, is how much power there is in our unity and agreement under God. Now, if people are united and in agreement under what the devil's business, well, that has power too. Not as much, but it does. And so we have to remember that. And I bring this up also because I'm sure you've seen all the stories about the Haitian migrants. I was talking to Lou, and Lou's here every week. He helps me run the show and run the ship. Someone was asking who I was talking to. That's Lou. I know he wasn't on camera, but that's him. And so anyway, I'm sure you've heard about the Haitians eating cats and dogs. My mother found a video on X, and she never posts there, and she posted it because it tickled her so much. But the thing about it is, after our show last week, we realized from learning about Project Stargate and what they actually did at Project Stargate, which goes far beyond Kim Clement and Kim Clement's prophecies, but things that were being done, foolish things that were being done that has had an effect on our country and on the West. And because we understood that, because that was quite intense last week, that was quite a reveal. A lot of people contacted me afterwards. I haven't even had a chance to talk to everybody that has contacted me yet. I am going to be speaking to Dr. Crum. I do have his number now, and I will be speaking to him very soon. So I'll be able to give you an update, but you've already said it in the chat there, Leland B. They're sacrificing those animals, and something and if you've been following my X page, you would have seen me all week showing you videos of other people from Haiti, of even Tucker Carlson said they're sending people from a country whose religion is predominantly witchcraft, it's actually it's West African witchcraft. It's voodoo, but over there it was called hoodoo. And then the slaves who were brought over kind of mixed it with Catholicism and some other things, and that's what made voodoo. And but it's not like Louisiana voodoo either. It's different. Anyway, they sacrifice animals. They do eat them because Haiti is in poverty. And something else that I showed on my X page, I'm not going to have time to show you today. It's a little bit of a longer video, but if you are following me on X, you can go and look at what I posted, where a Haitian protester spoke about the Clinton Foundation, because you remember when there was what an earthquake or a hurricane, um, the Clinton Foundation, this is years ago now, got heavily involved over there, and he really broke it down about what happened and how they have just used that country, the child trafficking, the stealing of money. I mean, if all the money that was raised for Haiti, they should be doing a lot better than they are, and they're doing a lot worse. And I'm sure you remember the cannibal gangs. So as you can tell, there's a lot of evil, witchcraft, demonic activity going on in Haiti. So we need to really be praying for the Haitian people, because they're not all like that. There's Haitian Christians. There's good Haitian people. We're not against Haiti. We're not against Haitian migrants. We're against the government using human beings for their own ends. So they take 20 or 30,000 Haitians and dump them in Springfield, Ohio, regardless of what the economy is like in Springfield, Ohio, and if they need more people or what. My first question was, okay, if you're seeing, you're hearing reports of cats and dogs being eaten or slaughtered, ducks, other things, we must remember, and I know this coming from South Africa, the witch doctors and the blood sacrifice. That's a really dangerous area we've just gone into now, because why would they have chosen? And that's why I don't have proof of this, but I believe that who are those particular Haitians? Why were those 20 or 30,000 chosen out of a whole country of Haitians? How did they select them? And why did they put them in Ohio? And if you're looking from a spiritual perspective, it seems to me to be deliberate. It seems to me that they have put people in that region for a reason. They have transported the witchcraft and are now doing blood sacrifices on American soil. And it's regional, because then if we go over to Colorado, you see that the Venezuelan gangs are taking over. But in Venezuela, they practice Santeria, which is not too much different. And there's also blood and animal sacrifice involved. So it keeps coming back to that. If you look at the whole abortion thing, we saw that last week when we looked at the video of Dr. Crum talking about what they did at Project Stargate and how they were channeling and opening things up using remote viewers, using occultist practices, demonic practices, communicating with spirits, and they opened something up and something came out. And they made a deal with it because they wanted to beat the Soviets, because the Soviets were doing this first, which is why they started Project Stargate. And then, of course, the counter to that came years later with my dad in Project Morning Star. And so now that we understand, because now my perspective has shifted. I've been very much looking at it. That whole experience shifted my perspective to the spiritual pretty intensely, because we know this is spiritual warfare. We know what they did, and that when that thing manifested, the very next month is when Roe versus Wade was pushed and took grip of this country in 1973. That was January of 1973. So we know that. So we know that goes on now with government. Now we know. So now that we know that, when I see they've taken 20 or 30,000 Haitians, there's more that have gone to other parts of America, but the ones that are highlighted right now, I think it's about 20 or 30,000 people were sent to Springfield, Ohio, and they're doing blood sacrifices on people's pets and eating them too, and they do that there because, but that's also, sometimes people just do that because they're hungry, and Haiti is in poverty and has been for a long time, and so there is a very strong demonic grip of that nation, and there are beautiful human beings that live there that need to be free, and they're going to need help, and they're going to need not just in the world help, but they're going to need spiritual help as well, and that's where we come in. Again, we are responsible. This is not a situation where we are sitting back eating our popcorn watching the show. None of that needs to be happening. We need to be actively involved if we want to save our country and if we want to actually have an effect. So there's that. Katie Barr is talking about shots fired outside Mar-a-Lago. That is very concerning. The Clinton Foundation ripped off Haiti. Yes, they did. Actually, let me go over to my my Twitter page. So I'm going to, what am I doing? He did it for me. The topics that I want to cover today aren't that. I just wanted to make sure I touched on that because of how things went last week. Yeah, that's right, Sue. Sue's saying they aren't hungry. They get food stamps. Not just food stamps. They're getting like the debit card with thousands of dollars on it. So to me, I also thought the same thing. I thought this isn't about food because America has plenty of food. And it isn't about, these people just don't know any better and that's just what they do in their country. That I don't think is what's going on either. I believe this to be they're sacrificing. This is what they do at home. And this is why I wanted to show you my Twitter page here. But I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. Pray for Laura Loomer. They're going after her right now. Okay, so this is the Haitian American I was talking about. And he spoke about the Clinton Foundation.
And, they pretend to be our friends when in reality they are our number one enemies. There are some other people who clearly behave like they don't like us. So it's easy for us to protect ourselves against them because we know they are our enemies. But the Clintons are even more dangerous because they pretend to be our friends when in reality they're destroying Haiti.
I heard that the Clinton Foundation and all these other organizations gave over $6 billion to Haiti for the relief effort, especially during the kind of natural disasters that you guys have gone through. Is that true?
No, it's more than true. The money is much more than $6 billion. You see, after the earthquake, countries around the world donate billions of dollars. The amount was much larger than $6 billion. And Bill Clinton was in charge of the money. And not only people around the world, but also American celebrities donate a lot of larger money to rebuild Haiti. And hundreds of homes were destroyed after the earthquake. And if you can believe, the people are still living under tents. That's unacceptable. And not only they held the money.
Can you imagine all those billions of dollars and there's still Haitians living in tents? That is outrageous. That is outrageous. So this is not any kind of prejudice against Haitian. I actually happen to love the Haitian people and Haitian culture. I love how they speak. I think they're very interesting. But you can't just dump 20,000 Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, and expect everything to just be hunky-dory and everyone be fine. Because those are two extremely different situations. And I'm not saying we're not compassionate to that, because we very much are. But as we can see, the Clinton Foundation, who raised all of those billions and billions of dollars, didn't give it to Haiti, because Haiti, they're eating each other in Haiti. They have cannibal gangs. Okay? So that's the reality of that situation. Let's go back to the Twitter page, to my X page. Thanks. Okay, so I should be scrolling up, but I'm going to go down. Here's the one I was talking about, where Trump has given Kari Lake a nickname, and it's Border Kari Lake. So, of course, I quoted, "Cartels will be afraid of a woman anointed by God." Please don't get mad at me. I'm not saying she is. I'm just taking note. Of course, I always follow Ashton Forbes, and this is old, though. This is old footage. I just thought it was interesting. This was great. Megyn Kelly was talking about the how bad it's gotten with the trans situation and children, and how they're actually by law able to take custody of a child who thinks that they should be the opposite gender and their parents don't agree and they're underage. The state then takes custody of them. And that's Tim Walls's thing. So we need to be aware of the dangers here. This is not just another election. It is not. And so, but I'm going to keep scrolling down here because of this. Okay. So I think this was, it was Roger. The ultimate plan of the Biden-Blinken foreign policy has always been war. Putin is a brutal dictator who will have no qualms about reducing Ukraine to a large, glowing parking lot. And how will Joe and his friends continue with the sex trafficking and the money laundering? So as you can see, the United States has given Ukraine the green light to strike deep into Russia using Western missiles. That means that NATO, including us in the United States, are then officially at war with Russia. Now, if you guys remember, a year ago, no, 2 years ago, when this war started, no, we're not trying to make Ukraine part of NATO. No, we wouldn't do that. And this goes back to the original agreements, and I'm going to let RFK actually explain it to you because he's going to do better than me. But if you see, he's speaking Russian, so I really didn't.
Но когда в последние дни мы видим и слышим, как на очень высоком уровне Великобритании и США муссируется тема о том, что киевский режим сможет наносить удар в территории России западными вооружениями большой дальности. И, судя по всему, это решение либо вот-вот будет принято, либо, судя по всему, вообще уже принято. И эта вещь, конечно, экстраординарная. Хотелось попросить прокомментировать то, что происходит.
Происходит попытка подмены понятий, потому что речь не идет о разрешении или запрете киевскому режиму наносить удары по российской территории. Он и так наносит с помощью беспилотных летательных аппаратов и другими средствами, но когда речь идет об использовании высокоточного оружия большой дальности западного производства, это совершенно другая история. Дело в том, что я уже об этом говорил, и любые эксперты это подтвердят, и у нас, и на Западе, наносить удары современными высокоточными системами большой дальности западного производства.
So basically, he knows, and obviously Ukraine wouldn't be able to do this without the help of the West, and this is breaking an agreement. And it's unnecessary to do so. And so there's my mom, by the way, everybody. I haven't left that subject, but I wanted you to see that she is on X, and so you should follow her. She found this so funny, this song that they
Dogs. They're eating the cats.
My mother found
They're
this song.
eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
Human beings are just too funny. So if you want to follow my mom, she's at Jane's Corner. She is there on X. And she doesn't post often, but she found that so funny that she did. And this one as well, of people telling the dog that they're eating. They're eating dogs, and that's a cute dog. So yeah, I mean, nothing surprises me anymore. What I was going to show you quickly before I go to the spaces I wanted to share with you, because they did an X Spaces yesterday that was so... Look at everybody praying at the Western Wall in Israel. Look how many. My goodness. And they were singing Lord of Forgiveness. So that was very comforting to see. Okay, here's something else. This has also got to do with the same kind of thing. Timothy Alberino, I don't know if you guys follow him. I recommend you do. He is a Christian. And he has worked a lot in South America, so he knows a lot about what goes on with cartels and things down there. And he says, do you people realize that the cut your head off Mexican cartels have set up shop in the Indian reservations across the West, especially Montana? Cartel violence, drug trafficking, and human trafficking are on the rise in America thanks to traitorous politicians who refuse to close the border and protect American citizens from the most vile criminals on the planet. And Timothy Alberino is someone who would know. And so here, Robert F. Kennedy also posted about this. And I'm bringing up Kennedy quite a bit here because I'm realizing you see I've posted a few of his things today because he's telling the truth. And again, you can say, well, we don't agree with him on this or that. We need to be in the business of changing people's hearts. Oh, this is what I wanted to show you. I said, after I saw this, I said, it is not possible to shock me anymore. And have a look at this video. I'm sure you guys saw Biden putting on the MAGA hat. Wow. Man, you guys, I never thought, but you never know. He's mad. Look, there he is walking onto the plane. Now, they say this was not actually a MAGA hat, but he made sure it was a red hat that he had in his hand when he walked up on the plane, and he made sure that everybody could see it. So that's quite a message being sent there, and I think it's because he's mad because they pushed him out. You remember he was saying, I'm going to run for president again. And next thing, it was like on a tweet, and then it was Kamala, so they ousted it, which, oh yeah, Trump's the threat to democracy. I mean, the Democrats didn't even get to vote their own candidate to run against Trump. Kamala was just put there. And we know that she's not who they wanted, because if you go back when she ran for president against Biden in the primaries, she was knocked out of that race really fast because the Democrats did not want her. And so talk about a threat to democracy. You don't even let your own people in your own party choose their own candidate. I mean, that's really been taken far too far. Okay, so this is what I wanted to play for you. I'm wondering if we should do the prophecy. Let's do the prophecy. Lou, can you pull up Chicago Kennedy prophecy? So this is Chicago 2000. We've been covering this over the last couple of weeks, but I want you to hear it again. This is a shorter version. And this is my dad in Chicago in 2009 prophesying.
For what has happened with the Kennedys says...
No, go ahead. It's fine. Let it go.
For what has happened with the Kennedys says the Spirit of God was spoken of. Now I will join hands between Democrats and Republicans and do an unusual thing, says the Spirit of God. Come on! They will say what they tried to increase, now they are decreasing. And God says it shall be a sign. But even now that the Kennedys have come to this place, I spoke about it, that there would be a massive outbreaking and outpouring in the system, in this nation, the political system. The three enemies that shall rise up and already on their way, I will take them, I will set ambushments against them, they will confound themselves, and this nation shall rise above the occasion and come to oneness with God, says the Lord. Come on!
And yes, someone in the comments over there, you said, this is not a democracy. Correct. It's a constitutional republic. We just use the democracy side for the voting. Kind of in a nutshell. So yes, that is absolutely correct. So you see the word salad. I've heard that used, so I'm going to use it. That's used. How they play with words and they play with things. And it's a threat to democracy, That means it's, and young people who don't know any better think that, he's a threat to our whole way, and they don't understand how they're being tricked. And really it's young people or people who have sort of are comfortable relying on traditional sources for information, even though the whole world's changed. So that means that's going to change too. So I played that though because I wanted you to remember now my dad saw God doing an unusual thing with he says this from Chicago too. Again, location. do an unusual thing with the Kennedys, and he would join the hands of Republicans and Democrats together in an unusual way. Dad also prophesied about a new party of people, the American Party, and scales would be removed from eyes, and there would be a unity in them. He said, when I raised my hands, they raised their hands. When I shouted, they shouted. They were one party of people. So now what he was speaking about, what he was seeing and prophesying was not Democrat or Republican, but Americans. And that needs to be where the number one thing in all of our minds is Americans. You know, you have the political parties and you need to have debate and you need to have disagreements so that together we find the best solution. So I might come up with an idea, and on my side, we think this is the best way to deal with this problem. And the other side says, yeah, but maybe we deal with it this way. And we need to be able to communicate, because the answer may not even be one or the other. It could be kind of a mix of both, or what comes out of the conversation you have. So what have they done? Divided us against each other so we can't even talk to each other anymore. So that, you know, anytime some people feel justified in shooting at Donald Trump because they think that he's the devil. They think he's Hitler. They think he's all these terrible things. And there's no even logic to it. There's no reason. Why would you think that? Because if you go back 15 years, he was on SNL, he had a TV show, all those celebrities who want to leave the country and hate him and all this. He's going to arrest us when he becomes president. Well, you'll have you arrested if you've committed crimes. If you haven't committed any crimes, he's not going to. And unlike what they've done to him. So this isn't about that anymore. And even that has changed. And God showed Dad that, and he showed my dad, who's not even with us anymore, for us now. And so you guys who've watched this show with me, those of you who have been here with me for the past, it's over a year now that I've been doing Code Breakers Live, you know, as soon as RFK Jr. announced, I knew there was something special. And people got worried, and you were writing to me saying, but what about Trump? Do you think RFK Jr. is going to be president? And I was like, no. I even titled the show the next week, RFK Jr. will not be president, but he can be used. And I could see it. And I don't even know why, because I didn't know about those Kennedy prophecies at the time. I had one Kennedy prophecy. And so, you know that we've been able to recognize that here, that there is a place for him, and that it will take a little bit of not compromise. It's not compromise. It's let's join hands right now, because these other issues we've always had, or we can figure it out as Americans. It's like when you have a fight in your family. Like, you're not going to go take that. You know, we may disagree. You know, maybe we're having an argument in the family and one family member is fighting with another one, but it stays in the family. That's what needs to be happening in America with that. And again, so much. No country, no race, no group of people, no matter where or what it is going to be good or bad. Within any group of human beings, even if it's a group of 3 human beings or 2 human beings, you're always going to find evil, because it runs through the heart of every one of us. At any point in time, we could make the wrong choice and be, go the wrong way. And so that's why we have to keep our relationship with God, and we have to keep our relationship with each other, and we need to be able to talk. We need to be able to be humble and say, hey, I'm wrong. I was wrong about that, but I learned from it. And now I understand it. Now we have a better solution. This is not anything brilliant that I'm telling you. It's common sense, but you see how much the enemy has infiltrated and caused confusion and division. And the division is what weakens us in the United States of America. So important. And I'm going to go back over here to this Spaces here, so you can pull my X page up again. Now I've got to I wrote down the minutes because I wanted you to hear what Kennedy was saying about Ukraine and Russia, which I thought was so interesting because he really laid it out well. And this was a Spaces that RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Jordan Peterson, Weinstein, Barr, and Glenn Beck, a bunch of people, Roseanne Barr is the Barr there, were all on Spaces yesterday, and I listened to most of it. And I actually wrote down the time code here because I thought, well, you've just laid it out pretty good here, RFK Jr. And it's so funny the group of people that God has put together, isn't it? As time progresses and we see this new administration coming, it's not what any of us expected. Donald Trump is the president. And then you've got Tulsi Gabbard, who used to be a Democrat, Jordan Peterson, a psychologist from Canada. Oh, he's not part of the administration, but there he is in the group. Glenn Beck, Roseanne Barr. It's like these people you would never put together. God did. And I find that so interesting. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to play this for you, but I've never actually played a Spaces on the show before, so I don't know what's going to happen. Lou, if I need your help, you're going to have to help me. But I've actually written down minutes. I have to find them. It's at 39 minutes. So let's go in. Now, what is happening? What is happening? Oh my gosh. Okay, there. But I don't know if we're.
From working class America,
39,
the people they hate
41.
most. So it was all that, and I think the thing that.
And then I've got a similar question
Okay.
to Dr. Peterson.
Listen to this.
Two questions. First, what is the end game for the current administration when it comes to the war in Ukraine? Because it just feels like constant escalation. If they're not willing to meet halfway with Russia, then I don't know what the end result would be. And the second part of the question is, if Trump is president, he did say he'll end the war in 24 hours. I think that was more of a symbolic statement. I just don't find it possible to within 24 hours, but within days makes sense, being optimistic. How do you think have you spoken to President Trump on how he would end the war?
Well, I think that how he will end the war is a moving target, because in, a year and a half ago, you could have ended the war very easily. And in fact, the war, they signed a treaty. Putin signed a treaty with Zelensky that was negotiated by, in Istanbul with Naftali Bennett and Erdogan as referees. And Putin wanted two things. He wanted a guarantee of neutrality for Ukraine forever. So we want Ukraine NATO would never go into Ukraine. He also wanted to protect the ethnic Russians in Donbass and Lugansk, who were, when we overthrew the democratically elected government of Ukraine in 2014, when the CIA and USAID overthrew them and installed our government, a Western-friendly government, that new government launched a war in February of 2022, February of 2014, against the ethnic Russians in Donbass and Lugansk, and killed 14,000 of them. So Putin wanted to end that slaughter. He didn't want Donbass and Lugansk as part of Russia. In fact, they voted 9-1 to join Russia, and he said, no, you should be part of Ukraine, but protect them, make them a semi-autonomous region of Ukraine, just like Montreal, just like Quebec is in Canada, where they'll be able to have their own language and culture, and that Ukraine will remain neutral. Zelensky signed that agreement. Putin signed it, and Putin began withdrawing his troops from around Kiev. And then Joe Biden sent over Boris Johnson and forced Zelensky to tear up that agreement because they wanted a war. Why do they want a war? Ukraine, there's nobody who ever believed, no intelligent person ever believed that Ukraine could win that war. That would be like Cuba winning a war against the United States. It is never going to happen. So, but they're lying to the American people. They're lying about the casualties. And what is the purpose of it? The purpose of it, when Biden was asked, he said it's to destabilize Russia, to have regime change in Russia. And this is the dream of the neocons. This is the last gasp of the color revolution that, Hillary Clinton launched and that neocons launched. And every one of them has failed in Libya and Syria and Tunisia and Egypt. They've all failed. This is the last one left. And this is their legacy project. And it is to overthrow Russia. And it's completely insane. There is no definition of victory. And every strategic choice they're making is bad. They've essentially validated Putin's worry, which he said, we're scared that Ukraine is going to be a platform for another invasion of Russia. And guess what? That's exactly what they did. They invaded Russia. They came into Kursk, and now they're going to launch missiles into Russia. So everything that he said, all the reasons that he told the rest of the world, this is why we need to be there, are now verified and validated. And the rest of the world is listening to him. We've been discredited. We forced Russia into this very dangerous alliance with China and Iran. We have created BRICS, which is now threatening the status of the dollar as the world reserve currency, the world trade currency, the world safe haven currency. And that's going to be like a nuclear bomb on our economy. And it's just an absolute cataclysmic. There are a bunch of baby children running U.S. foreign policy, and they're dangerous, and we need to get them out of there.
Okay, so that's all I'm going to play of that, but I just thought that was very well. I mean, he explained that really well there, and we do know, because we remember when that happened, when they were doing peace talks, they had the agreement, and then Boris Johnson goes over there and tears it up. Like, why? Why? And then, of course, you hear the Clintons. There they are, and he was saying Libya, Syria, all these other, this is their Ukraine's like their last place. And so they're just fighting, and everything they said they wouldn't do, they're doing, to where now they're like, okay, we're going to launch missiles into Russia. Are they insane? Now, I'm seriously asking you guys, are these people? He says they're children. I think they're insane. Because, look, I'm no fan of Putin, but you don't poke the bear. You don't poke the bear if you know he's a lunatic. And look, he's the one who's acting more sane. It's like they're desperate. And the poor Ukrainian people are in the middle of this because the government is installed. That's not who they voted for. In 2014, that's what happened. And there was my dad in Ukraine during my dawn, praying for the people, boots on the ground. Of all the places in the world, God told him to go to Ukraine right before all that happened. I mean, you want to talk about prophet? I'll tell you what. And my dad, this is what I wanted to play for you. Now, I have a guest coming to join me, but I'm not going to bring her on yet. My friend Charlita is going to be coming on because I just wanted her to share some stuff she's been working on with trafficked children. So I wanted to make sure that I give her enough time. But before we do that, I put this video together this morning because Trey texted me and he said, I'm too sick. I can't do it. And I said, no, don't worry. It's fine. I can handle it. And I thought, well, what? Some of the stuff I wanted to talk about was this anyway. I had so much stuff to talk to you guys about that I was just like, you know what? I'm sticking that. So I spent a couple of hours because I had to go and find, what I was remembering in my brain. And that was a little bit of a hunt. Some of this is from Prophetic Rewind on Monday, the last part. But the beginning part is coming from the prophecy about, remember I put it up, he saw A and Q. Remember we were all like, oh, did he see Q? Did he see Q? And I don't know what he was seeing. So I want you guys to just listen with me. And then Lou, if Charlita comes on, just tell her to hold back because I want her to listen to this too. And I want you guys to hear. This video starts like I didn't do much editing. I just threw the prophecies on there and posted it so I'd be able to share it easily with you. So it's not well edited. And I sort of had to cut it up too because it's long, because it's my dad in 2012 explaining this incredible experience he had about the visions. And some of you will remember this because we released it on Prophetic Rewind earlier this year, I think, or maybe last year, about the visions dad saw. Has to do with a new energy, death to death, fire point. But he saw stuff about nuclear war, and I wanted to show you. So let's have a look at this. I'm going to push play.
I suddenly became aware of danger, and it seemed like there were signs of war. What frightened me was that there was a talk of a destructive weapon, and I heard this. They're looking in the wrong place. It's hidden. And so I was catapulted hundreds of feet into the air, and I was above a large forest. Now, I think some of you even heard me say that. And it was like I was hovering above this massive forest. The color seemed dusty with hints of yellow and mustard. Oh. with hints of it's like mustard or yellow. It didn't seem like a normal forest. And this country contains something extremely dangerous. I was aware of the fact that as a prophet in this age, I was in a similar position as Elisha was when he started seeing and hearing the plans.
Okay, so that's key right there. You see what he saw? He's seeing, you see how upset he got too. It kind of took his breath away. But he's seeing the plans of the enemy. I know some of you are talking about the prophetic. I'm seeing, and the role of part of the role of the prophetic is to recognize relentless mouth, is to recognize the hand of God when it does happen. That okay, this is the path, right? And that has been that is a huge part of it. But also, it's can be used just like military intelligence. And we saw that when they tried to do that with Project Stargate, and when my dad actually did do that for the American government in Project Morningstar. Here he's sharing, now this is 2012, so this is many years after Morningstar under Obama. And he's saying he felt like Elisha, but he saw the big, and I pay attention to the yellow mustard forest thing, because I don't know what to think of all this, and I want to hear you guys' feedback. I want to know what you think. And so let's go back in.
Of the enemy. Why not today? Why would it only be applicable thousands of years ago? The word is alive, the same, yes, Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forever. Why not us? And therefore I'm praying and pressing in for more, for something greater, that the gift of prophecy through the prophet and the prophetic people would not just be on the vein it has been, general prophecies. We have to be able to find where those kidnapped children are. We must be able to say, don't go to the psychics. Don't go to Long Island. I want you to come to the prophet. Come to the den to find out what is hidden. And I'm pressing in for it. That's why I'm fasting and praying for a higher degree, for a higher, above the natural, above that which we already have. And I truly believe that God is imparting that upon each one of you. So you'll be led by the Spirit. Angels don't necessarily have to guide you all the time. The Holy Spirit can guide you, but angels can also guide you to a place of great victory where you can be transported, not physically, transported from your situation to another situation. That's possible. Anyway, the thing about it is that during this time, the sensations in my body were changing all the time. One minute I wanted to cry, one minute I wanted to laugh. I could feel these feelings. I was seeing too much at once to contain it. Now, you may be saying, well, why would God do that to you? Well, I loved it. You have no idea what it feels to have your soul whole and full. So full that it's overflowing. David said, he anoints my head with oil and my cup overflows. I understood that. It was overflowing. It was beautiful sensations in my body, my soul, my spirit, purity. Power in one amalgamation. It was just amazing that I was sensing all of this, and yet I was saying, what for? And I heard children laughing and old people laughing like you've never heard in your life. I went to a higher place. I was hundreds of feet above a forest. Now I'm starting to realize that it's connected to what I'll tell you later on about Russia and what's going to come out of Russia. But then for a moment, I was completely in the dark. I need to explain this to you. I could feel something, but I couldn't see it. Now, when I say dark, I'm not talking about darkness as in sin. I was in the dark. I could not, I think God didn't want me to see it. Because I was like this, and my hand, and at one stage, I even told them to stop, whatever it was. And I tried to pull away because the inside of my hand began to burn. Now, this happened a few times until I cried out, no more. I couldn't handle any more of this. It seemed like something burning in my hand. Now, I became aware of, here's where I want you to listen to me about that, because many prophetic teachers are teaching that it's the end of the world now. And I've stood with what I believed and what I felt the Lord revealed to me, that it's not quite the end yet. It's the end of times, but the end of time. It's the end times, but the end of time. So there's still something God has planned huge. But I became aware of extreme heat and danger. My body was overwhelmed by it was like radiance and fire. And fear struck me for the first time. And that's when I said, it's okay. Because it's almost like I was trying to tell somebody it. that was in this vision. But fear struck me for the first time. Was this nuclear? Was this atomic? What was this that I was feeling? Was I interceding on behalf of Israel and America? I believe I was, first of all. But at that point, there were multiple visions. And a question seemed to arise constantly. Armageddon, the slaughter of humanity, an atomic war no one wanted, but which no one had the wisdom to avoid. Now, I need to say that to you again, and I want you to listen to it, because this is what I heard. Armageddon, the slaughter of humanity, an atomic war no one wanted, but which no one had the wisdom to avoid. What were we to pray for? For wisdom. And the Spirit of the Lord then, that's what...
Okay, so I'm just going to stop for a second. You hear what he said? He was talking about atomic use of atomic weapons or atomic war that nobody wanted, but nobody had the wisdom to avoid. And this is what has concerned me today, because I'm looking at what's happening with Russia and Ukraine, what we just heard RFK Jr. talk about, what we've been discussing. And I mean, you heard RFK Jr. say it's like children running foreign policy in this country right now. It's fools. And you heard what he just saw. Now, this is 2012. He's saying no one had the wisdom to avoid. And so this was why it was concerned. This is what we need to be praying about right now.
When he was showing me this weapon that nobody knows about, or perhaps they are ignoring because it's not. Anyway, it was in this, and Sunil's going to help me in a few minutes now. Just bear with me. But then I heard these words. This is not that time. Armageddon. This is not that time. You can take solace. You can receive peace today. That at this very moment, this is not the time for the slaughter of humanity. Now, you may be saying, well, I'm going to be raptured away and all that. That's fine. But just take this so that you can get an occupational mentality and perspective of your life. We've got things to take care of. And God's put us on this earth for a reason. And at that point, for those that have watched the vision that I had, watched me, I'm in the Spirit, I said, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. The vision of wickedness and impending danger is due to some device hidden in a place unknown to the present intelligence. That's what I have to tell you. And maybe even ignored. In other words, that's not important. This weapon is in a human mind. And the weapon that is in this human mind came to me when I saw some alphabetical letters. I saw some letters. At first, I thought it was A to Z. Now, this is a puzzle to me right now. But God almost said to me, focus on this so that the mystery can be unfolded. The letters were A and Q. That's all I saw. And he said, that's where it's at. Then I saw Russia, I saw Pakistan, and I saw a connection. That's all I saw there. And I remember that, but I didn't say it. That's important for you to take note of. The vision of fire and water. Now, I was absolutely surrounded by evil. And I felt as Daniel did, praying for his people. Now, let me just tell you what Daniel said. He said, while I was praying, the man Gabriel, now remember, Gabriel is one of the most powerful angels, whom I'd seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly. Now, you think about God and time. Why would God need an angel to move rapidly? Because men have power to control things that happen on the earth, because God put man on the earth. So when things happen, they can retard it, they can slow it down, or they can hasten it. And so the angel was caused to fly swiftly. That's what Daniel says. And it reached me about the time of the evening offering.
Okay, so one thing I just want to say here, just so we're staying on track. He's concerned about nuclear. He sees a weapon in a human mind. He sees that it's not that time yet for the slaughter of humanity. And, he's seeing this A and Q, which my first thing was, when I first revisited this prophecy years ago, and I knew about Q had come up. I thought, oh, he saw Q. I'm not sure anymore. He's seeing the trees, the mustard color. You notice he got upset the first time he brought that up. So these are all little things that we need to be praying about going forward, because also remember, he prophesied this in 2012. It is now 2024, so that's 12 years ago. And we've not seen the fulfillment of all of it, but we are watching it now. So we understand the time that we're into, which I think is very important. But again, I don't have answers for all of this. I'm giving this to you guys today because we're going to code break this ourselves and pray about it, and especially for protection.
I want you to get this, because it's so few people realize and understand the power of the evening offering. Because he says, the angel arrived and got to me about the time of the evening offering.
Okay, so that's the time of day. Okay, right? Like the way I'm seeing that is like, is he seeing that there's a certain time of day? I don't think it's just about an offering. The time of the evening offering, God sent Gabriel to fly swiftly at that time. So timing seems to be an important part, right, of this. So it seems like timing. Let's go back.
Then I saw this as well. Russia was yielding from her. Now, Russia would yield. Now, I wasn't sure what that meant, but I saw ashes, ashes and ashes. And then suddenly out of the ashes arose a charmer, a man, a serpent in a man with seducing power as I'd not ever seen before.
I don't think that's Putin. Out of the ashes. What ashes? Ashes from what? This is where my concern is, you see.
Keep your eye on Russia. Watch what happens. God told me to pray for that. God showed me a leader in the Middle East with a weak eye, full of light, yet hidden for a time to be revealed as a voice of God in the Middle East. A young boy, slightly handicapped, being groomed for presidency in the United States of America.
There's that young boy again. I remember he's prophesied about him before, and this is who's coming after Trump. I don't know if it's directly or not, but he saw that smaller stature, wouldn't speak well. They'll say, this man is not speaking enough. He wouldn't be a great orator. Possibly a Latino, possibly the first Latino president. His name may even be David, but he's small and young. So, if you look at everybody around Trump right now, it's none of them. So this person has not emerged, but that will be a president one day. And then he said he said it again, the young boy, slightly handicapped.
I then saw flashing in front of me fire point Ephesians, that there was so much relief and so much joy and victory and happiness and laughter because of we're free. But I saw fire point again. It was going across it, and I caught a glimpse of it, but it said fire, but it was broken up into 3 sections. Fire point E. Wow. And so if you can write that down, fire point without the E, and then E separately. Remember I spoke about the big breakthrough with a big E. Huh? Never did I realize when I wrote fire point, when it first came to me, that it would also mean, it was fire point as well, but fire will point to E.
You guys are talking, I've seen a few people have said it in the comments, mustard gas. What is mustard gas? Lou, do you know? Tell me someone. What is mustard? I've heard of it, but I don't actually know what it is. Because that's very interesting as well. Yeah, I see you guys talking about Barron Trump. I don't think he was talking about it. None of the Trumps are small. They're all big men. So that's not who he, and I think that's why God made a point of telling us that way. Because in the prophecies, and I'm going to have to pull that up again. I didn't do that today, but on purpose. But he came up again. So Dad was seeing this young, small man who would be Latino, and he prophesied this from Florida. Go ahead, yes.
Mustard gas, it's like a very yellow gas, and they've got to wear the protective marks. I think it gets in the eyes and that, and it's kind of like it damages their skin, and It's
And then the yellow trees.
Yeah.
What would that have
Well,
to
someone
do?
was saying it could have been in the fall time.
Chemical weapon.
It's a chemical weapon.
Maybe it's time could be something.
Yeah.
Because again, Gabriel flying swiftly to be there at the time
Flying.
of the evening offering, which was a particular time he had to be
Mhm.
there.
So-
Not just sometime today, Gabriel showing up.
so-
He's like, there's a moment he needs to intervene.
I think it was Glenn that said he thinks it could be fall, and then
I
then
think-
the color of the gas is yellow, like yellow.
Well, what would it use? Wait, hang on. Mustard gas was used during World War II, very bad and deadly to many. Is it nuclear? Is it a nuclear
It's
thing?
like a chemical. Like when you get
Poisonous
acid burn,
gas.
like an acid burn kind of thing.
Yes, but he said this was a weapon inside of a human mind.
It could be part of it, like part of what they make or something. I mean, it's something to look at.
Chemical warfare is interesting. So we got chemical, nuclear. And these are all prayer points, everybody. And if God shows you anything or tells you anything, you can email me, codebreakers@houseofdestiny.org. Lou's going to put it up on the screen. You can email. And you can also just, if you already email our hope at House of Destiny, you can just email there. Fall will get it to me. But that insight needed, because I don't know. I don't know. I'm showing you because this is what we do. We're code breaking together.
Wow.
It's in your hands.
Okay. So that's where he finished on 2012. Now, the next part was actually on Prophetic Rewind last week, and I had wanted to bring this up to you because, we were talking about demonic activity. We've been talking about demonic activity. We've been talking about, there's sacrificing animals, blood sacrifices, Project Stargate, and how many other things we don't even know. Okay, we just found out about Stargate. We just found out about certain things. But what about the stuff we don't know about spiritually that they're doing? Like, look at CERN. Look at CERN. They do Luciferian rituals at CERN. Like, you've seen opening ceremonies where you see these, and it's like, why are they doing? Oh, it's just art. It's not just art, because evidently, if you look at the world around us, it has been affected. And the thing is that it doesn't have, look, the enemy doesn't have power unless we allow it. We are more powerful through Christ. Through Christ, we crush this under our feet. We just need to be aware. And what's happened is everything's been incognito and classified and hidden away. And so if we didn't know, unless you were a prophet like my dad or a prophetic person, you would have picked up on it. The Holy Spirit is now prompting all of us through my dad and others that now is the time. So 3 p.m. is the evening offering. Thank you. So just remember that time. The other thing that I don't have to show you, but my dad was praying. I've forgotten the date now. He was praying, and he was praying over, it was just the end of a broadcast, and he was just praying at the end, and he was praying for different people in different parts of the world and who were watching. He started listing places, and all of a sudden, I think he said Montana or West Virginia, and it kind of, and then he said Mississippi, Louisiana, the Rocky Mountains, and then he got upset, and he was like, "You will not strike at them," and started praying against it right in the moment. And I always remembered that as being, wow, he was seeing like targeted regions of America. Is this a spiritual thing? Is it a physical thing? Is it both? I think that's an interesting question to ask. What country? America. It was America. But okay, so this is what I put on Prophetic Rewind on Monday. So if you already watched this, then you've seen. But I've just got a section of it here that I wanted to play for us. Is Charlita there? Did she come? Do we have her, Lou? I'm waiting to hear back from Lou. I don't want her hidden away. She's there. Oh, bring her in. I want to hear what she has to say. You guys, this is Charlita Bassett, and you've met Charlita before. I've had her on before when she was running for Feinstein. There you are. Happy birthday for yesterday. Charlita is my dear friend, everybody. So it was her birthday yesterday. So everybody, please say happy birthday to her. She is just such an anointed woman of God. She has been such a blessing to our family, to our ministry. I mean, I can call Charlita anytime, and she will pray with me, she will help me. She has just, she is a gift This woman is a gift, and I'm so honored to have you here, Charlita.
Thank
How
you
are
for
you?
having me. I love you.
Oh, I love you too, Mama. Now, have you been able to see any of this that we've been playing?
I have, and boy, the things coming out of your mouth, I can't believe it because the things that you're speaking out loud, God's saying into my spirit. You said that it took your father's breath away, and the yellow powder, which would be a gap, it is chemical warfare. I had two different thoughts that came into my heart, and it was Agent Orange, and then also what they used during the war, the Second War, World War II. And the reason that it takes your breath away is because you can't breathe it because it will burn your lungs.
Charlene.
And God's just been giving me revelations about a pythos spirit and it getting close enough to suffocate you. And so I just kept getting all of these things because God keeps giving me these visions about 2 Peter and about the pythos spirit, how it comes in as if it's kind and it gives you flattery and all of these different things. In fact, it was a word that the Lord gave me for 3 different people that are at the tip of the spear. And the Lord said, warn them that someone that wants to flatter them is very near. And I believe this belongs to President Trump as well. And they need to understand that the flattery isn't sincere. It's only to get close enough to suffocate you. And if you, I believe it is 2 Peter, let me see, 2:18 through 19. So look that up because the key to it is that a pythos spirit, pythons constrict you, but they can't see, they can only smell your flesh. And so they get close enough so that they can harm you. And I do think it's relevant that you said that it took your father's breath away and you're prophesying, don't even know it. So I have to sit in my chair different.
That's okay. That's fine. We're all just hanging out here. We do this every
That's
Sunday.
good. I'm just in my hotel room. So,
okay.
And then
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
The thing is that people need to be aware that they're hearing from the Holy Spirit. If somebody's a little annoying, but you don't want to hurt their feelings because they've been such a great support, they've given you scriptures, they've given you, they've completely always seemed to have your back. If they've been annoying and you brush it off as you don't feel well, or maybe you're tired and they're just annoying you, maybe you need to listen again. I don't think it's you that you're listening to. I think the Holy Spirit's trying to warn you that you've got a familiar spirit near you that you need to cut off. And I feel the same way about President Trump. I believe he has familiar spirits around him, just like Jesus. Jesus had to leave Nazareth to go preach the gospel and minister to the prostitutes and the sinners because he had too many familiar spirits around. They're not all wishing you bad, but look at Joseph's brothers. They were jealous of him, and God made it so he was removed from the family so that he was able to be given that destiny that God called him to through the fire, through the pressing of the wine, and that ability to be able to bring forth new wine and save his own family. In retrospect, your father, in fact, would say that in darkness, faith grows, and that's a fact.
That is a fact. And you've heard, people have, I barely heard just when we started the show today with that there's been another assassination attempt on Donald Trump. I don't know if you'd heard it yet, Charlita.
Yes. Yeah, they actually don't know that the shooters, the security saw, I've been to Mar-a-Lago. The security did not, I don't believe he heard shots. I believe the security was the one shooting because they saw a man with an AK-47. And so they did arrest that person on I-95. And many people stop praying because they think, "Whew, that was a close one. He didn't die." Well, Don Lemon needs to be very cautious about mocking Melania Trump because God does choose people to be Davids. And Don Lemon was mocking Melania Trump for coming out and saying that it was very distressing that it was just buried under the rug 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Because it was July 13th that this happened, which would have been 2 months ago yesterday. And if you look at it, him mocking her, to me, when you mock anointed people that God's called to be a beacon of light and hope for a nation, you're mocking God. And he better take a double take on that and do an I'm sorry, because that man's trying to make up for something he doesn't have.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Charlita.
Not to say it rudely, but as a mama,
That's the
this
truth.
guy is an ego check.
And that is the truth. That is the truth. And I also have that feeling of the flattery and the familiar spirit. Even Paul in Acts 16,
Yeah.
where that
I think in First Peter it says also that we need to be sober and in prayer, because if you're not, it's like the portals. I mean, you touched on so much while I was listening. The evil, it's not art. In CERN, they open portals to demonic entry, and people don't realize that when you have the gift of prophecy, or your father had the mantle of a prophet, which is huge, you get attacked so much, but yet he carried on despite the attacks, despite them calling him crazy. And now look at the beautiful thing that God's brought out of the ashes. But as far as him saying ashes about Russia, I do believe that's nuclear. And if you listen to the People's General, General Flynn, he talks a lot about this being possibly nuclear. But people have got to stop just getting comfortable. You can't get comfortable. Everybody was all shook up after that shooting. And then Trey Smith brought out how biblical it was about President Trump being knocked out of his shoes and Moses needing to remove his shoes to be in the presence of God. And President Trump even saying, I felt God's presence on the ground with me.
Yes.
And the most profound picture to me is him on the ground. It's not necessarily him raising his hand, which I actually had a plaque made up basically saying freedom. It was in that moment that President Trump, the man, not the leader, but the man, the man that we all see at night when we go to sleep, knew that there was a God greater than him, above him, because President Trump's not a God. But God told me before I came on here to challenge the viewers, if you are not praying enough, and in the most horrific sense, if anything ever did happen to President Trump and something awful happened to him that he could not serve, and I don't want to say any negative things, but you would automatically think that we were done with. And if you think that, you're not close enough to God, because God's going to have a final say in this battle, and he's going to get all of the glory. And until we humble ourselves and realize that President Trump's not saving us, God's saving us. And he's doing it through a man. And you've got to continue to pray for his safety. But if you fall apart, if anything happened to him that he couldn't serve, you are not close enough to God, because I'm telling you what, your father said that in October there would come a great fall. Yeah. And I don't believe it's just a fall of man, like I believe the two people on the Supreme Court justice that will step down out of shame. Ooh. I don't believe it's just people in politics that will be outed because they didn't out themselves, they were caught. I believe that it will be the fall of our dollar. And in my spirit, people need to realize that man has put too much power in the lust of money, which I want you to go on 2 Peter and look that up. That's not my strength. Your dollar is not your strength. Yes, we need to return to the gold and silver standard. Your strength needs to be in God, because I'll tell you what, you're going to be shook up, and your oil lamp had better be full, because there are the 10 virgins, and 5 were ready and 5 were not. And like your father said, he said he didn't feel like it was the end times as far as being raptured right now. You're not going to just get a swift lift and you're out of this mess. He wants you to humble yourself and get that relationship with him. But the point that I was leading to is that he wants you to turn to him, turn to Jesus, and have that faith in him that when the lights do go out, when the dollar does crash, because it is worthless, it will actually cripple the corrupt. So it's a good thing. I know that it sounds horrific to anybody's state of mind, but if it crippled the corrupt, they couldn't do squat to get the rest of their things done, because nobody's going to work for them if they don't get paid.
Yes.
And if you think about the big picture, where our trust needs to be in God, and if we're true Christians, if we really believe in Jesus as our Savior and our strength, they're going to need somebody that really believes that to come to, that's not having a meltdown. So I really do believe that it's going to be mental breakdowns. It's not going to be physical. I really, as far as being shot with a gun,
Right.
I believe that they're mentally going to have a collapse in their mind because they can't handle the thought that the wealth that they held so dear as their God, like people hold Taylor Swift as a God, are going to all fall apart. And you need to know where your real strength is.
And I think this is why Dad was seeing the death to debt.
Yes.
40 years, Charlita, he prophesied it for years.
Yes.
And years. Death to debt, death to debt. He had my husband making artwork of it.
Yeah, I have my shirt.
Wear it on a t-shirt.
Yes.
And I actually pulled up 2 Peter while you were talking. I didn't.
I think it's second. Yeah, 2 Peter. I believe it's
2 verse 18 and 19.
Yes. Yeah. Could you read that?
Yeah, it says, for when they speak great swelling words of emptiness, they allure through the lusts of the flesh, through lewdness, the ones who have actually escaped from those who live in error. While they promise them liberty, they themselves are slaves of corruption.
Yes.
For by whom a person is overcome, by him also he is brought into bondage. Wow.
Isn't that intense?
Powerful. And
So
then
you know how God
exactly
speaks to
right.
me, he gives me numbers and he gives me books in the Bible, and then I have to go research in the morning because I can't remember them all. So I'm looking it up and I'm just like, wow, it's so profound. God's so amazing if you just listen.
Yes. And you're right. You're right on with that. You're right on with that. Someone in there is talking about death to debt. Other people are remembering that. And then he saw the big E, which was a new energy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of promises. It gets a little scary when we've got to look at he's saying nuclear. If he even says the word nuclear, we all get, oh, especially considering the situation that we're in right now. But we also know what is promised to us, and that is a victory. He saw the
Yes.
Kennedys, and in that prophecy where he saw the Kennedys and the joining of hands, he said in the prophecy, and America will rise to the occasion and come to oneness with God.
Yes.
He
Yes.
saw victory. He saw restoration for
Yes.
America. And that's why I
Yes.
said that in the e-blast. I wrote it today because we sent out an email to let people know about the show, and Trey couldn't make it. And so I wrote it, and I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to talk about because I didn't want to cover the topics I was going to do with Trey because I want to leave that for when he does come back. And I said, okay, God, what am I going to do? And he sort of led me in this direction, and it really has I'm seeing promise and I'm seeing hope.
Yes. Yes.
And when I wrote the email, I just said, God promised restoration. And my dad
Yeah.
kept saying that during the restoration of America, this and this will happen, and the big E and the energy and the BRICS nations, the giants, and how to phrase my dad in prophecy, he said, while those cats and dogs are fighting, America will prosper. And so
Yes.
you have a situation over there where like China and Russia aren't traditionally friends, Iran, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend right now. And they've sort of banded together to try to get, de-dollarize. And so, of course, they're going to be quite happy that our government has become corrupted and any corrupt things that the West has done to have that highlighted
Yeah. Yeah.
to their advantage. But the problem with them is that, they are led by a system that is godless. So even though
It
you have
is
Russians
godless.
you
Yeah.
have Russians and Chinese who are Christians that we love them. We don't wish them harm. We don't want war with any of these people. Iranian Christians are, but they're having to keep it underground and keep it secret. That those are
So
God's people.
let's connect the dots. So
Okay.
people have short memories. They get distracted. This is your mama talking.
Okay.
So people get distracted, and you mentioned, as you were speaking, God was speaking through you. You said you brought up Montana. You brought up different states. Where did the first explosion happen? It happened in Montana. That's where Yellowstone is.
Oh,
But where
right.
did we first see the balloon?
Where was it?
Montana. It flew over Montana. You
The
need to write it down.
balloon.
Everything that the enemy does is try to distract you. The only thing, and especially running for U.S. Senate, I try to make people think, step outside and look from that view that your father was looking at. He was looking at the big picture above. And it's just like General Flynn and Boone's book, 5G Warfare and AI. You've got to step outside of the box and the noise and start praying and asking the Lord to show you. They kept you focused at the southern border of the United States where all of our ports are, but they never talked about the Canadian border, which bumps up to Idaho and to Montana, which are huge. Why would the balloon be spotted first in Montana? Why did they let it go across the United States that were all military bases?
Exactly.
Because in Canada, for 5 years, they were already bringing in Chinese illegals. They had hotels set up. Yes, they had it all in Chinese. They all had the same backpacks, and they were being bussed into Montana, bussed into Idaho, bussed into all of these beautiful areas where they own property. Look up where China owns property. People need to wake up and start connecting the dots, stop looking where the noise is, and start looking and remembering what happened 3 months ago. Stop looking at the news and start reading and listening to Rumble, listen to General Flynn, listen to Don A, listen to Doc Pete, listen to Ivan Raiklin, Roger Stone, Clay Clark. Clay Clark's amazing. He gives them best information on Yuval Noah Harari. When your father spoke of it being in somebody's mind, I think it's because it talks Sun Tzu, it's just The Art of War. He taught about killing people without ever firing a shot. How
Yes.
better to do that than to collapse an entire economy where people can't get to their money,
That's right.
where the dollar means everything to them. But let's take it a little bit further. If you shut the banks down, I had Edward Jones or somebody call me the other day, and he's like, "Hey, have you invested lately?" And I said, "Yeah, I invest in different things, but I'm not going to say out loud here." And he's like, "Oh, I do that too, but not so much." And I said, "So tell me, where is it?" And he's like, "Well, it's in the vault in this bank." And I said, "So when all of the banks get shut down, how are you going to get to that? Because all of the illegal immigrants have all their little cards that are not going to work. Who do you think they're going to come to first for food and for supplies? They're going to raid the stores first, and then they'll be at your door. That bank is nothing." I said, "I wouldn't keep jack crap in a bank ever. Go dig a hole somewhere."
I've heard
Like
that
my
so much.
grandparents.
Even my husband's grandmother did that. She took she must have had some kind of, she's passed now, but she had been removing her money from the bank and literally hiding it under her bed.
Oh, I found money. I took care for this elderly person. I would go to cook her meals, and it was wrapped in paper from the market where they actually still cut meat. I'd find it in coffee cans, and I had to let their daughter know that her 90-year-old mom was hiding, so much money. And it's because they lived through the Depression. They know that when those banks shut down, you're not getting back in. And if you think
We've seen that. Didn't that happen in Cuba?
Yes.
Is that what happened in Cuba not long ago? Is that they all woke up and there was no money left in their bank, and the government took it.
Yeah, look back a little further and remember the EOs that President Trump signed before he left office. He signed an executive order. I don't know the number. Lou might be able to look it up. But it said that all of the wealth that was taken for humanitarian crimes will be restored to the righteous.
Wow.
So your father spoke about the righteous being fine because our money hasn't been laundered through the Ukraine. It hasn't been laundered through all these different countries, China and everywhere else that the Biden families received it. And I do believe they're angry because Joe, in his not right mind, if that really is even him, is upset because they didn't even allow their own party to choose who was going to run. Yes, they prepped Kamala to talk better than I've ever heard in my life. The only thing I know about her living in California is she's not a nice girl and was not virtuous at all and got to power the wrong way. And it's sickening, but she has not a brain in her head.
No.
Princess and the Pea, she's got a P for a brain.
And I think that it was the good that came out of that debate was that, first of all, it exposed lie after lie.
Mhm.
If you go through my X page, those of you who follow my X, you'll see like how many, because I just kept posting.
So
it,
many.
"You said this. Look how it's a lie." It was like
The abortions, yeah.
obvious lie. Yes. And
Yeah.
so
8 states up until the last day, and they will let you leave the baby alive for up to 3 weeks until the mother chooses, which could be mentally ill, and this beautiful, beautiful baby. Satan wants to remove our future.
yes.
And that's why the trafficked children, your dad did see the children. And that's what we're trying to do is save the children. And Satan wants to remove the voice of a woman. And the mantle prophecy, the Esther prophecies that Christy Johnson put a book out recently. I just ordered you one. It's beautiful, and it just makes me cry through it because it's so true. They're trying to make men be girls and girls sports, and they're taking away all the rights that all of these people that are supposed to be women livers are not. They're not. They're just a mouthpiece. I love men being men and girls being girls, and the fact that they're trying to take our voice, take away our rights, and kill life beyond ourselves. That's why they're going for the children. It's like they did with Moses for the first 12 years. They were worried about a king rising, which was baby Jesus, and they murdered the 2-year-old boys and under for 12 years. And people don't read their Bible, so they don't know. And they're trying to take away our future. But then you look at Jonathan Kahn and Amanda. They had a show the other night about the dragon, and these dragons, these doors, they're portals. They're demonic portals, and people need to realize that if you don't understand the darkness, then you're not going to make it because they are real things. Spiritual warfare isn't a joke. It is a physical, tangible force that you feel, and it can even change the way you feel walking through a room because your spirit picked up on the yucky darkness that was there, the oppression, and then you could walk out of the room and feel something else, and that's discernment. And if you don't read the Bible and get close to the Lord, you won't have discernment to know if you have familiar spirits close in 2 Peter. But then look at those that are trying to destroy our nation. They really aren't good. They sound good, but everything they say is a blatant lie.
It is a lie, and it's becoming so obvious. And I think this is why God has allowed some of this to happen so that enough of us could see for ourselves, because in the end, it is our choice. And this is something I was saying at the beginning of the show in regards to the abortion situation, and that we can't expect Trump to do everything. Like, you know, he appointed the correct Supreme Court justices that would get rid of Roe versus Wade, which got rid of that grip, that federal government grip, and put the choice back to the people. The rest is up to us, because America is ours. It's by the people, for the people. We as Christians are responsible to do something that is not always about law, because I think it really bothers me. You know, it's like, make a law about this, make a law about that, and we're just all bound up by law. And it's man's law. It's not even God's law, because they've just taken God out of everything. And of course, we're seeing the repercussions of that in our society, in the West, in our youth.
It's so heartbreaking. They don't even know about Noah's Ark and Daniel in the lion's den, just simple things.
Yeah.
But the laws, I really, really feel like it. I don't know. When your dad talks about fire and then point and then E, I really believe like it's going to be burned down. In my spirit, or torn down or dismantled, whatever way you want to look at it. But I feel that because you can't have restoration until you get rid of the old. You can't put wine in an old wineskin.
True.
It all has to be restored. It has to be a new thing. And your father saw a new thing.
That is what he was seeing. And I do like that in the portion of the video I was playing where he said at the end of it, there was a relief. Like
It was.
like, oh, we're
He was
free.
stressed.
And he
Yeah.
and he even said the word free. He said, I see,
Yeah.
oh, we're free.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there's it's like there's things to be concerned about that we need to pray about, but there's also, like I said before, there's so much to hope for. And there is like the
Yes.
burning down and the taking down and the dismantling so that the new thing can rise. He saw the
Mm.
ashes, and the things that are good. And so, and I like that he touched on the end times topic too, because he was saying there, it may be the end times, but it's not the end of time. So don't be afraid. Just realize that you're put here for a reason. You have a destiny.
And you can't step into your destiny until, and so Satan will try to discourage you, and you've got to speak your prophetic words over you. This is something else I shared with these people that God told me. If you have that warrior's weapon, it's a warfare weapon that the Lord gave you. When words are prophetic words spoken over you, you start speaking those over your life, because those are your weapons of warfare against spiritual warfare, because they can't take away something God's promised you.
No.
Satan cannot send his demons. He cannot himself take away a promise that God gave you, because God cannot lie. If God lied, there would be no God.
Yeah.
And the second thing is you hang on to that. But the other one is there's got to be a billion soul harvest.
Yeah.
Who is going to be the light for that harvest for those that come in for the wild? And I'm speaking to the church now. The church has got to get over its self-righteous spirit, because until you humble yourself and realize that those that walk in aren't going to be what you think they look like, you are going to be the one that goes to hell and not them.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that, I shared this the other day on with Tom Rentz. If all of us had the sins of us tattooed on us, we would have so much ink we would not leave our house.
Yeah.
And that's a fact, because we've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And God is going to bring in those from the wilderness, and they're going to not look like what we think, but their heart is going to know what it feels like to be at the bottom. Their heart is going to know what real pain is and what being crushed in the spirit means. And you should not envy the things of the flesh. And it's easy to want to not worry about your bills, and it's easy to want to have easy things.
Yeah.
But what's your life worth?
No.
What's it worth? It has no value. And that's why I'm really pushing to help the children. They need a place to heal. I don't want to allow Satan to remove the lives of these innocent children that they're using for demonic practices. Innocent blood has to be spilled, and people need to understand witchcraft. Between 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock at night, or 12 midnight and 2 in the morning, is when they sacrifice their blood sacrifices. It's a real thing, warlocks and witches. And during those sacrifices, they have to sacrifice enough innocent blood, be it animal, unborn baby, a kidnapped child, anything. They have to sacrifice enough for the demons to be released to torment you in your sleep. So a lot of people will wake up at 3 in the morning with a horrible nightmare, and it's because they are being targeted, because something they're doing is bothering the darkness, which is the evil, and you will be tormented. And you've got to have the blood of Jesus, which supersedes all blood because it's pure, it's beautiful, it's perfect. And Satan knows that he has to mimic that to even get his little demons to do what he needs them to do. He's nothing more than a fallen angel. He is something that we need to pray against and ask the blood of Jesus to cover us. But we've got to rescue these babies, because if we don't, he's gaining power through the manipulation of these innocent lives. And we as a people need to stand up and say it's enough, and bring hope and love and laughter back to these children, which makes me happy. Your dad, seeing them laughing and having joy, it makes my heart happy, because we're trying to build the piece of heaven. We have the property already. We have people that can come in and build swimming pools and everything that they need to heal, and bring in animals for them to have love, pure love of animals. And I'm an animal lover, and animals and babies.
I know.
So, but the most beautiful thing you could imagine. But I really want people to go to peaceofheaven.life and
I was
look.
about to say, Lou put it up, because I was going to ask him to. So if people want to learn more, tell us.
So you can go to this QR code and go to peaceofheaven.life, and you can see different videos. Yeah, it's up there in the corner. And there are different videos that you'll see reasons to think twice about driving through a fast food restaurant or going to grab a coffee. We need $4 million by November 3rd. And I don't feel like it's a coincidence that it's during the election, right? I feel like we're in a battle of darkness and light, and we need everybody on board, and we need people to volunteer. We need more teachers. We're going to need more counselors. We'll need therapists. We have, I believe it is, I think it's Dr. Artis is joined with us, and Lee Dundas. And yes, it's all private property. I used to work with the women that were at this old facility, but it's still immaculate. It's 10 acres, and the buildings can be expanded upon. There's no bars or anything. It's a former low security prison for women. And it's a beautiful place. We have this beautiful mountain range. We have we want to build waterfalls and water structures for these children to feel peace and joy and just put their little lives back together. And we want grandparents and people that are full of love, that have more to give, and to hug these babies back together. As you know, I've adopted you and Lou and John and Jamie and Robert. All of you are my kids. I love children. I was just given an old soul.
Oh my goodness, did we lose her? Oh, we did lose her. Well, give her. Oh, there she's back. We lost you for a second there. You disappeared, but you came back.
I'm in a different country.
Everybody, she's in a different country. I won't say where you are. So everybody, Charlita, this is Charlita Bassett again. Lou, do you have her name you can put on the screen?
Yeah, I'm an ambassador for Peace of Life. Peaceofheaven.life is the website.
So go to peaceofheaven.life. You see, this is something that we've been really trying to figure out. Okay, how can we help the situation where it's going to actually be effective? It's not like you can go and give to the Salvation Army or the Red Cross or anything like that, because we can't trust anything.
Bad. No.
So, oh, great.
Yeah,
You got
there we
graphic.
go. Yeah.
So please do go and have a look at this. Everybody watching right now, Charlita is like family. So, my mom and I, and like she said, Lou and my husband and so many other, Trey Smith, all of us know Charlita so well. She has been just such a blessing to so many lives. And God is just using her so greatly. There was, she ran for Senate for Dianne Feinstein's.
Yeah.
For Feinstein's seat. And there was a serious reason spiritually that you had to be there doing those things. God put you there for a reason, and I really believe that. And so everybody watching, this is this is a very special lady, and I trust her so much. And like I said, it's been difficult to find who do we trust and how do we help, because so many of us
Yeah.
want to help the children, and
Yeah.
it's if it's something that's been denied, that is being denied, then how are you even going to help? And so the mainstream doesn't want
Yeah.
to talk about it. They don't want to pay it because then they have to admit about so many other things, and God's just not going to tolerate it anymore. And
No, and I want everybody to not stop praying and not think that your $5 makes a difference or whatever. There's even a volunteer portion on that. We are going to need people that have speech therapy. These children, many of them are from different countries. But my main point is that we need all hands on deck to stop the evil. And I honestly know in my heart that the Lord's going to use this as a template for other states, other areas, for people to realize we need to step up to the plate and save our future. Those are the babies. And the second thing is, I ask you to pray for covering over Donnie and House of Destiny. And I ask that you donate to them. And the reason that I ask that is because everyone found hope in her father's prophetic words. And the prophets go before us so that we have a template of what to prepare for. And his words were not said in vain. They were straight from the mouth of God. And Donna doesn't even know when she's prophesying. She brought up Montana. She brought about her father taking his breath away. I hear things in my spirit that she's saying that actually are linked to other things that the Lord is showing us. If you would get your eyes off of the noise and quiet your spirit and peace be still, it's a true thing. But I ask you to donate because the House of Destiny has got to continue to release the videos, and there's so many more words that her father spoke that they're still uncovering. And the value of that is because you cannot take away the promises of God. We can alter things if we pray them away. God can step in like he did with Nineveh and give people longer life. But the fact is, if you don't donate, you won't see these videos. There is a team behind her that are doing all this groundwork that it takes hours and hours. And many of us are not computer savvy. I would be one. I am more of a cook and a mom and those kind of, I like heavy equipment. I can unload with a forklift, but Donna's dad left us this beautiful gift. And I'm asking you to gift them and to sow into the ministry, into this family, and to the whole team, because their prophecies are preparing you for the future. And he used to say, your future looks much better than it does right now. It's a fact. So make their future available to them to continue to show you the word that God gave him, that are promises straight from heaven into his spirit. And that's how the Holy Spirit talks.
Yeah.
And when he heard it, he just spoke it, even if it sounded nuts. I've heard Donna so many times, and her sister, and I can't remember the other girl, Christy, I think.
Yes.
I just think, why did he say that? And sometimes it shocks me a little bit. I'm like, ugh. But you know what? Obedience. God values obedience above everything.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter. I've felt nuts telling people things that I've had dreams about, including Donna. And God showed us that it was something I wouldn't know. I would argue with the Lord. Oh, I don't want to say that. And God's like, it's not your message. What's your problem?
And
I
it's so
talked it off
true.
like a country girl. So.
I mean, Charlita is truly just so because we see the people that God has highlighted and put into the office of someone like my dad, but the gift of prophecy is key right now, and Charlita is a really good example of how God moves prophetically through people. And as I've said,
normal people,
yes,
just regular, yeah.
Charlita, although I wouldn't say you're just normal and regular, I think you're very special. But she's she's been such a blessing to me, but also so prophetic, and it's been a beautiful thing for me to see that in someone other than my dad. It was like it's been, I was so focused on him always, and God's been bringing people to my life, and Charlita's one of them. Amanda Grace is another, who are prophetic people as well, and you can see how that expression is different, but it's
Yeah.
still, it's just different in the delivery, but the source is the same.
Mhm.
I said to
I
Amanda Grace when I met
yeah.
her, "You feel like my dad, but you're nothing like my dad, but you feel there's something that's familiar." And it was that prophetic thing, and I felt that in you too when we met.
Yeah.
And
Oh boy, that was powerful. Whew.
it really was.
You
Um,
know, to the listener, God uses your voice even if you don't, he uses it because of the way you will articulate it to
yes,
the person that he wants you to deliver that message to.
definitely.
So the reason you were created the way you were and raised the way you were, good or bad, the way you articulate the message that you just received from heaven, whether it was a vision, whether it was a dream, or however, just a download, God is going to use the way you saw that and the way you word it, regardless if your grammar it sucks, like mine's really bad. And he still uses that in my brokenness because it's not perfect, but the way that I heard it is how part of myself was raised. And so Donna received that because um, I like to have fun. I have a childlike spirit, and I always loved the story of her dad trying to walk on water and run across the swimming pool as fast as he could. I can
he
relate to
did
that.
do that. He used to do it all the time. He would try to walk on the water on the pool. And
It's so that's just like faith. If we don't step into it, how are you going to know you're going to sink?
he'd be fully dressed too, Charlita. I mean, it's not like he had a bathing suit on. He would be dressed, and he would try to get as far as he could. Like, he just believed. This is when I was a child, and so
I
he was
love it.
young too then.
Beautiful
He
memory.
didn't do that as much when he got older, but that was when I was about probably 9 or 10 years old. So he must have
Mhm.
been in his early 30s, maybe 32 or 33, and he was doing that. And that's just a lovely memory, and that's a lovely place to end on because we actually are running out of time. But
Okay.
before we go, would you think you could pray?
I would love to. I was
Close
going
us
to
out
pray when
today?
we came on. Yes.
Okay.
Heavenly Father, I just extend peace, Lord, the peace of your Holy Spirit across all of these airwaves and frequencies, Lord, that you let everyone that needs to hear this, even at this moment, turn on their YouTube, Lord, and pick this up. I pray peace and comfort over Donna and the entire team, Lord, and her mom, Jane, that what a beautiful woman she is to carry on her husband's legacy and reread everything that she's seen and the man that she adored so much. Lord, we just thank you for Kim, Lord, and the gift that you gave him and being bold enough to say the things that were unspoken and say them out loud boldly, because you do say we need to come before the throne of grace to find mercy in time of need. But he wants us to do it boldly, Lord. I ask you to continue to bless each person. Continue to pray over President Trump's safety. He is not God. You are our only God. We know you will get the glory for this, Lord, because this is your time, Lord, to bring in the remnant, to bring in the billion soul harvest. And we just pray, Holy Spirit, start giving every person that's listening with ears to hear, Lord, to have dreams, to hear that small voice, to become aware of those around them that they need to cut from their life because they really are not for their best interest, and separate themselves to finish the mission and complete what God created them to be and reach their destiny. In you, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, Charlita, for joining me
Thank
today.
you.
That was just such a blessing. It's so nice to see you too. I missed you. It's so nice to see you. And everybody else, I think we're done. We've gone way longer than we normally did. I really wanted to hear from Charlita today with that was heavy, some heavy, heavy stuff. But Lou's sending me a message here that before I go, I gotta tell you a couple of things. Okay, we have a partnership program we are about to launch. So if you haven't heard about it already, we already had partner programs in place when Dad was alive. He had boots on the ground in Israel, our Israel partnership. We have a general partnership for the ministry. But, we realized that after some years had passed, that some of this had sort of aged out. And, my dad was certainly not somebody who would have liked something like that. He would have been telling us, what are you doing here? You got to do something new. So we did. And one thing that I know is very important is the database, the prophecy database, and what God revealed to my dad, but also the worship and the insight. And so we have so much stuff But it took a little bit of effort and quite a bit of work to redo the prophecy database and have it to where, number one, some of those transcripts were a transcript of an entire church service or meeting he was in, not just what he prophesied. So sometimes that could get confusing because people would think he prophesied something. Even I would have to go look, and then I'd realize, no, he wasn't prophesying. He was just speaking, or he was just praying. So we've gone through and weeded out some of that. We're still working on it. But this is the need for the partnership program because it's the building of the legacy, and so we've made it really beautiful. We've worked really hard on it, and we have not launched just yet, but we're going to be, and we've been getting everything ready. And when you go into that prophecy database, you'll have the one we have now where you can do keyword searches, but in the partnership, you will have it where we have the transcript, and then we'll have video footage of just what he prophesied. So, you can just see that, or a link to the full broadcast so that you can see in context. And that way, you can say, okay, I can read what he prophesied. I can see him prophesying. I can go to that meeting and I can watch everything that they did that day. What was the song of the Lord that came from him that day? What happened in the worship? What did he preach about? What did he teach on? And then, of course, we have teaching series from him, the School of the Prophets. And also, those of you who are already partner with us, you will be it's called grandfathered over to this. So if you are already a partner with us, we will be moving you over there when this launches. Of course, you can contact us if you have any trouble with logging in and that kind of thing. But I am so excited about this, you guys. And so if anybody who maybe you just want to go ahead and start today, you can start with this here. My hand disappears when I go too far. There's a QR code. If you don't like that, you can go to the website, houseofdestiny.org or kimclement.com. Easy. Either way, you're going to the same place. And really consider partnering with us because this is about more than just keeping the ministry running too. It's about, I'm building a legacy that there's something so special in the life of my dad and what he did, the timing of his life, of his salvation, of his death, and of all the things that have happened in America around that time. And it really shows God's hand. And this is beyond my dad, and it's beyond Trump. And God has done things in such a unique way this time around in history. And so we want to record it and be, keep that as a legacy for the future, so people can look back and see everything in a way that nobody ever has in history. And so I want you to be a part of that with me. And so you can go ahead and start with us today and go ahead and join the Boots on the Ground, or just wait. We're going to be launching any minute. As soon as they tell me the website's ready and everything's ready, then we're going to go. And if you do give an offering, I saw some people were giving. If you gave an offering today, or if you want to, we will send you this as our daily light. It's a 31-day devotional, all written by my dad. It is so it's such a blessing, and it's so beautiful, and it's light too. You can carry it with you, an amount of anything. So if you give 50 cents, we're going to send it to you. Just make sure you go to the QR code or the website and click the banner so we know to send it to you. And then for $25 or more, you can get this. And it's called Prophetic Revelations, a collection of letters from the pen of Kim Clement. And as talented as he was as a musician, and as just beautifully as he spoke, he also wrote, and was so prophetic in that too. And the way he describes different elements of the prophetic, being a prophet, it's all in there. And so for a gift of $25 or more, we're going to send you that. And we'll keep you updated on the partnership. Don't miss Prophetic Rewind. It'll be up tomorrow. Every day of the week, we've got something going on at the House of Destiny Network. Christy and I will be back on Saturday analyzing more prophecies leading up to the election and more. And don't miss Israel Update on Fridays, because we've got Dubi Sabo on the ground in Israel giving us reports what is actually going on with the war. You don't have to deal with that media filter. And of course, Christy runs that. And I think that's everything. Fire Point E. Yeah, fire points to E, everybody. And one more thing before I go. I see people talking about XRP. And we did notice my dad had that prophecy where he saw the X and the P. I just want you to know that I am not actually a fan of XRP because it's a centralized system, and I do not believe in centralized cryptocurrencies. You want a decentralization. The centralization, that's where it gets dangerous. That's where you get Mark of the Beast stuff. So we, of course, do not give financial advice. I am not qualified to do that. So don't listen to me. But I've seen a lot of buzz online about people talking about Dad had the prophecy with the X and the P and something in the middle. I just want to caution everybody. Don't go jumping into things. Really pray about that, because I don't know. And I just know what I have learned of the digital currencies is that centralization is never good. And but you never know. And, I've listened to my husband and Trey Smith discuss these things, but it goes over my head. But everybody was sort of concerned. So I just wanted to make sure to sort of bring that up. I'm not sure if that is actually what he was prophesying about. Just like what we looked at today. He saw the A and he saw the Q. And for how long? I mean, maybe he was talking about Q, but we're not really sure yet. We will be. And it's all in God's timing. And this experience has just been, I mean, even today when I was getting ready, I just thought this experience of life has just been so insane. When I saw Joe Biden put that MAGA hat on, I thought, I have seen everything. I have seen everything. But you know what? Even Joe Biden is deserving of redemption. And let's say, well, I don't know. People have committed crimes they have, and I don't know anything about it. Someone's saying it's not centralized. It's not? I don't know, Jessica. I haven't done enough research because I don't invest in that stuff because I don't know anything. So I just notice people talking, and I'm just being cautious and telling all of you. I don't want you to sort of hang your hat on that. I'm not telling you not to either. It's regulated, but it's not centralized. Thank you, Jessica. Okay, so it's regulated. My husband would be shouting at me right now. He probably is at home. It's regulated, but not centralized. Okay, so the government one is, though, right? The government one is? Okay, yeah, she's saying it's not centralized. Okay, I got that wrong. All right, well, I feel better because I felt responsible to tell people. I'm not sure about that, and I don't know if that's what he was seeing. Wasn't really clear to me, and maybe it was. But anyway, I just wanted to be safe because we're friends. And it was just such a blessing having Charlita here. And we've gone way too long, so I'm going to go home now and eat my dinner and be with my family. So you all do that too. And we will be back next week. Again, don't miss Prophetic Rewind tomorrow. It'll be good. All right. Thanks for joining us.
To announce my all-new mattress topper. In the times we're in, I wanted to bring you the best affordable mattress topper ever. So I took my two best technologies and combined them to make the ultimate mattress topper. And now you can get it for as low as $69.98. Queen size only $99.98. It all starts with my famous MyPillow foam that provides you that overall full body support. Second is the individual comfort supports that give you an amazing custom sleep experience. It's like it's made specifically for you. The queen size alone has over 14,000 comfort supports. This is the perfect mattress topper to improve any bed. New bed, old bed, your guest beds. Get them for every bedroom in your house. Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get the all-new My Mattress Topper for as low as $69.98. Queen size only $99.98. Don't delay, order today.
Of Destiny are partnering with you to let our viewers, of course, know about your company. It's Beverly Hills Precious Metal.
Andrew, explain how that works.
So I'll walk you through it right now. So if you go to bh-pm.com, right there on the homepage, you'll see a form that you could fill out. And that form is very important in letting us know how we can help you. So you just put in your first name, last name, email address, phone number. There's a section that says, how did you hear about us? And in there, put Kim Clement. And then there's a portion where you could write a couple of notes down on the bottom. Usually within about 24 to 48 hours, we'll contact you. And then by phone call, and then we'll go over everything with you. This isn't a high pressure deal. We always recommend that if you feel uncomfortable, take a step back, pray about it. You will gain the answers that you need by doing that.